And we're back. So, as promised, I have more next season topics. And as I mentioned last time, we're gonna predict awards about 9 months before they're announced. Unless we have some dumbass award show that happens after the finals for some reason instead of before the playoffs. And we'll start with the least interesting awards first and go on to the most interesting awards. So let's get started with it should be unanimous decision that Nemius Keita I will win it. I mean, how can you not pick the Keita Dilla as your pick? Alright, I'm done trolling. So here are our candidates. Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, Jalen Suggs, and Scotty Barnes. And to be quite honest with you, I have no idea. I usually have a good idea of who's the best prospects coming in, but this year I just wasn't that invested. And it sucks because apparently this class was pretty deep. Um, I'm basically gonna be going off of some summer league and what I've heard from other people. So take this with a pretty pretty light opinion. Take it with a grain of salt. But right now, I'm going to say it's going to be Jalen Green because he already has the most media coverage after his famous beef with all of Detroit for the Pistons, and that's because they didn't pick him. And here are some quotes up here. I'm a fan of him because it makes things more interesting in the league. And he seemed to be the best player in Summer League, I think. He even outplayed Cade Cunningham one game that I think it was on ESPN. But guess what? None of these bitches can do that to Davion Mitchell. Davion will put your favorite point guard in a prison. This is why. Moving on to a slightly more educated topics, except no, not really, because trying to pick one player to break out in a year is really, really difficult. So the main candidates I can think of for most improved is Kevin Porter Jr., Michael Porter Jr., and I don't know. I guess I'll say Kyle Kuzma. Yeah, Kuzma. Now this is almost just as hard as predicting rookies because you didn't watch much of them. But Kevin Porter is a good choice because once he joined the Rockets, people forgot he was a young player with a lot of potential, and he displayed it well in the 25 games he played, averaging 16 on 43% shooting. So I can see him doing that for a whole year, averaging maybe 18, 19, around 45, 46%. He should probably get it. My other pick would have been Michael Porter Jr. because it seems we're always just waiting on him to break out and become the next Kevin Durant or whatever. And now, especially with Jamal Murray missing time next year, he's going to be looked at as the second scoring option if he can add some discipline to his shooting. He can fill that role for Jamal Murray while the Nuggets are trying to get healthy. So yeah, just because of that, I'm gonna say Michael Porter is my pick. I mentioned Kuzma. That was mainly just to piss off Laker fans, but he also has some potential. Depends on if he actually does something with that, but he deserves the most shots other than Bradley Beal on that team, I guess. He'd have to have the craziest career 180 to win it, but I mean, technically it is possible. I could see it, but I still would pick either of the Porters to win it. But my pick is going to be Michael Porter Jr. because I like him right now, and I think he's going to make that jump with, what's his name, Jamal Murray missing time. So now we're going to move on to now probably the last boring one, but we have Coach of the Year. And I'm just going to throw names that could be in the running. So I think the front runner is going to be Monty Williams, Steve Kerr, and Billy Donovan. I say Steve Kerr lightly because he got a little bit exposed last year, and he isn't some genius coach, but he could win it if the Warriors get like the 1 seed, since he would need to be a big reason why they get that 1 seed. He got exposed last year trying to use Kelly Oubre and Andrew Wiggins like they were still Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant. So, and he's still benching Curry like they have a super team still. But Billy Donovan is the Bulls coach, and I can easily see him winning if the Bulls are a top 3 seed, since right now they're expected to be around the 5th to 6th seed range, maybe even playing by some people. But that would mean he coached the team so well and got rid of all the wrinkles this team is bound to face with major changes to where they get a top 3 seed. I feel like he could win it, but my pick is going to be Monty Williams, since the playoffs showed that he is probably the best coach in the league aside from Nick Nurse. And he was in contention last year, so I feel like he's the front runner now after what we saw in the playoffs and what he was able to do with Chris Paul missing time. I like him as my pick, and the media, they like the Suns, I think, or at least I think they do. And he got a lot of attention, so people like him right now. So he's probably going to win it next year. That's my pick. So now we're going to move on to the last boring one, the officially last kind of boring one, which is... Alright, here we go, 6th man of the year, and I think the candidates are going to be Derrick Rose, Jordan Clarkson, sure, I'll throw Lou Williams in there, and sure, let's throw Paul Millsap in there, because he's on the Nets, and that team is stacked, so he's a starter on a bench. And I'm just going to say it's Jordan Clarkson and not waste anyone's time, because usually the award goes to who scores the most off the bench instead of counting other things like defense or, like passing and carrying the team, like at playmaking. And everyone else I just mentioned is kind of older and they're more inconsistent, so I'm going to pick him. Also, remembering now, shout out Cam Johnson. He's a good choice because he was pretty great in the playoffs. So I could see him making that leap. But I'm still picking Jordan Clarkson. So, yeah. If it's not Clarkson, it'll probably be Derrick Rose. Just because everyone loves Derrick Rose. He deserves it too. So now, there's only like 2 interesting awards people like to talk about. So let's talk about the least interesting of those 2, which is... Oh yeah, here we go. The second most exciting award, because it would actually mean something if a player wanted to make the Hall of Fame. Defensive Player of the Year. So our options, they're going to be Giannis, Ben Simmons, Anthony Davis, Draymond, Bam Adebayo, and then of course, we have... Davion Mitchell, oh my god, he's so good, he's gonna lock your ass up, Davion time, oh my god, I love you, Davion, he's the savior of the Kings. Oh, yeah, my bad, I meant Rudy Gobert. Yeah, now that you hear who I actually meant, you probably wish I wasn't serious and I was delusional about Mitchell. Anyways, those are 6 dudes with the best chance, so let me start this off by saying if Rudy Gobert wins it again, then it doesn't count because it's Rudy Gobert, and we all remember he can't guard anyone with a respectable jumper. And here's a little montage of him getting cooked by Terrence Mann, Reggie Jackson, and Paul George all in one playoff game. 67. jokes. He could very well win, though. And I don't like that possibility, so I'm not putting that negative energy into the world. Ben Simmons, he very well could win it as well. But, yeah, to win the award, you actually gotta play games. And right now, it seems the Sixers are not going to trade him. I hope they do, because that would be good for them and him. But he might sit out the season if he has to play for the Sixers. So we're gonna eliminate him. And then who else is there? Draymond. He's lost some people's respect. And he's older, so I wouldn't bet on him. So now we got Giannis, Anthony Davis, and Bam Adebayo. All three of these dudes can guard 1 through 5, so that's pretty cool. I will eliminate Anthony Davis since he will probably be sitting and resting some games to make sure he doesn't get hurt in the playoffs. Or he might just get hurt in general. I don't know. But I don't wish injury on anyone. So my pick is going to be Giannis, since everyone loves the dude right now. And he's seen by majority of the league as the best defender. So I'm going to pick him. Bam, he would be my second pick. But yeah, Giannis, after what he did in the finals, everyone's looking at him. So everyone recognizes him as like the best two-way player in the league. So we're going to say Giannis wins Defensive Player of the Year, meaning he could very well have 2 MVPs and 2 Defensive Player of the Years before he turns 27, which is fascinating. And now for the topic everyone wants to hear. Let's move on to... That's right, the only award anyone ever cares about, MVP. So I have a few people in mind for this award, and those are Luka Doncic, Paul George, Giannis, Steph Curry, Nikola Jokic, Trae Young, Zach LaVine, and then of course we have De'Aaron Fox. Oh my god, I love you, De'Aaron. Please never leave us. You're our savior. You're leading us to the promised land. You're the only good thing about us right now. You're the best point guard in the league. Oh my god, you're my favorite. Alright, guys. I promise that was the last troll. But the last dude is Donovan Mitchell. So, we have to ask ourselves, what is asked of you to win the MVP award? Well, that is a very good question, and I have come to the conclusion that you pretty much need all of the following. You need a good story or narrative, crazy good numbers, a top 4 seed in your conference, and to be the obvious best player on your team. Now let's look at all these candidates, starting from least likely to most likely. The least likely here to win it, in my opinion, is Donovan Mitchell. Now, I love me some Donovan Mitchell. He's one of my favorite players in the league and the greatest Jazz player of all time, no cap. But the reason D-Mitch is least likely is because I don't see the Jazz being a top 4 seed in the West. And also, he loves to save himself for the playoffs, and he puts up good numbers still. But if this was playoff D-Mitch, he might be unanimous MVP for real. But sadly, it's not. So he's got mediocre numbers compared to what we know he's capable of. Still love him, though. I'm going to buy a jersey soon. But right now, he's the least likely out of everyone I just mentioned. And up next, we have Paul George. I like Paul George. I really do. Just don't look at what I posted on my Instagram, link in bio. But if he leads the Clippers to the 3 seed and averages 28 on good shooting, he's the MVP. But sadly, we need to be realistic. And realistically, I don't think he'll have the record to win it because Kawhi is out. So, the Clippers, they're going to be looking to him. He might get injured because he is a bit injury prone, as I've said in the past. He is a dark horse candidate to watch, so look out for him. I wouldn't be that... Actually, no, that's cap. I would be really surprised if he wins it, and he would deserve it if he's in the top 3 running or whatever. And for the next dude, I should clarify that all of these dudes have a great chance at winning the award, and I'm trying to think realistically with the requirements I set, so keep in mind. So next I have Luka, and he is insane and the media loves him. Sadly, the Mavericks kinda are a dumpster fire right now, and they probably won't have the record to do it. But don't get me wrong, if the Mavs are a top 2 seed, he's the MVP, because how do you even do that with that roster? That'd be like LeBron in 2007 or 8 whenever he won it. It'd just be crazy if he did that. I love Luka. Probably top 3 favorite player in the league. I like a lot of players now that I mentioned that. But he probably won't win it next year just because of his team. So we're going to say a dude above him, we got Zach LaVine. Now, as many of you know, Zach LaVine is crazy good at the game of basketball. And I think it's obvious he'd be the best player on the Bulls. And of course, this has to do with record again. He also doesn't have like the narrative or gripping storyline yet, like some people do that I've mentioned before. So I do think he has a damn good chance, because the Bulls could shock some people. And I'm kind of surprised nobody's really mentioned him, or at least I haven't seen anyone mention his chance. But he won't be higher than some of the dudes above him. And yeah, give Zach LaVine some credit and start including him in these conversations. One of the dudes I have above Zach LaVine is the menace known as Trae Young. I say menace because he shimmies on damn near every 3 he takes and doesn't care about New Yorkers and Philadelphiaers, which makes him a hero in my eyes. He's so likable, yet I completely understand if you can't stand him, because just look at that smug face after icing a game winner on your team. I'd hate him too. But he's here because he's riding off the wave of the playoff hype that he has. The Hawks could very well be a top 3 seed in the East, and he's obviously the best player. I do question if his regular season stats will be enough for him to have such a great chance, because he did seem like way better and turned it up in the playoffs. So like if we know he's capable of doing that, but he's not doing that in the regular season, that could hurt his chances, like with Donovan Mitchell, but to a lesser extent, because Donovan saves himself like just a ton. So that's one thing I have with Trae Young, but he does have a great chance. Sadly, the next 3 dudes are in contention for best player in the world, so he may not get it just because of these generational talents. In third, we have Nikola Jokic, the Joker, the majestic seal in Denver, as I once read on Twitter. Yes, I do wish I saved that tweet, but right now,
let's not worry about that.
Jokic is the reigning MVP, and some people hate it. I really don't care. But since he won it, he met all the requirements and he was the obvious MVP. Jokic will put up historic numbers and lead the Nuggets to a good seeding too. He's a once-in-a-lifetime type of talent, and it seems he slimmed down a lot, putting in work, as you can see here. With Jamal Murray out, it may hurt the Nuggets' chances in the standings, which could cost them back-to-back MVPs. But hey, he's top 3 for sure. And in this, at least in this race, now that I mentioned he'd have to go back to back, one thing there'd have to be a jump between your last MVP season and your just next MVP season, like we saw from Giannis in 2019 and 2020, and then we saw from Curry in 2015 and 2016, and we saw from LeBron in 2012 and 2013. So that would need to happen for him to go back to back. He'd have to have some crazy leap and just become more dominant. But hey, anything can happen. In second, we have Giannis. And Giannis is coming off of one of the greatest finals runs in history, putting up one of the greatest finals performances in NBA history. He is the topic of the world and everyone loves him, kind of. He did win 2 MVPs straight, not even 10 months ago. so that could hurt his chances with voter fatigue being a thing. He's my pick for Defensive Player of the Year, and him winning Defensive Player of the Year and MVP twice in his career before turning 27 is insanity. But to do that, the Bucks would have to be the first seed. I don't know if they will do that with the Nets there and even the Heat maybe. He very well could win it. And then y'all will have to accept that he's a top 3 power forward of all time, right? Right? Probably not, since some of y'all wait too long, but whatever. Giannis has a chance at a third MVP, and I have one guy standing in his way. So my pick for the 2021 NBA MVP is Stephen Curry. Steph Curry is going to fit every criteria next year, except maybe the record part, but apparently everyone is iffy on that, so it don't matter. Last year, it was just pretty much him and players that needed to develop that year, and he came in second in MVP voting as the 8th seed. We're gonna get more Super Steph games, since y'all should just accept that as the norm now, and that he isn't taking a backseat for KD anymore. He had 31 points per game last year while being triple teamed every single night, which you all know is insane, or you're just in denial of that. Now this year, he's got a squad too, kinda. The Warriors did improve, and now it's back to 2016 for them. I do think this team is going to be great, and of course Steph is going to be great too. He's my pick over Giannis because it's been 5 years since he last won it, where Giannis, he won his back-to-back MVP just 10 months ago. Voter fatigue is a thing, and I think Steph will need to put up crazy numbers for Golden State to be great, where Giannis could just coast until the playoffs if he wants to. So that's why I have Curry as the MVP. So some names that I didn't mention that can make some people mad are probably LeBron, Kevin Durant, James Harden, Jason Tatum, and Joel Embiid. So let me quickly say why I don't see them winning, starting with Harden and KD. They are literally on the same team. You can't be a candidate and have another MVP on your team. Moving on to Embiid. He won't have the record with Ben Simmons missing, and he might get injured. So, that's what took him out last year. Tatum? You're just a Celtics fan, or thought of him when I mentioned Levine and Mitchell, and are mad that I even implied that they might be better than him. Obviously, I don't think so, but that's a topic for my top 25 list. The Celtics aren't that great, but if they're a top 4 seed, I will gladly put Tatum as the MVP. And lastly, LeBron. There's no way in hell they got Russell Westbrook just to make LeBron operate at an MVP level for the whole regular season. That defeats the purpose of having Russell Westbrook. He's there to carry so LeBron can chill until the playoffs. So please stop talking, LeBron fans. He's also on a super team, so that eliminates him from contention like Harden and KD. So that wraps up the video. Here's a graphic of who I think will win every award, and I'll even add some All-NBA first team, second team, maybe even third team predictions in this graphic. And please subscribe and like the video for more NBA content. Even click that playlist on the screen for some cooler, more professional kind of videos. Thank you all for watching. Subscribe for more 2021-2022 season prediction videos. I do have my top 25 players list coming out, and then I'll also have hot takes for the season, or bold predictions, or whatever you want to call them. So thank you for watching. I try to post weekly, and I'll see you all later.